Welcome to We Talk English, your favorite English podcast. We're excited to have you with us today. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected for regular English learning podcasts. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're tackling something I know a lot of you are thinking about these days. We're going to be looking at how climate change is hitting young people especially hard.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it?
It really is. We're actually going to be focusing on this one episode of the We Talk English podcast. They really dug into the whole climate anxiety thing. It's pretty intense.
It is, and they hit on this one stat that really got me. Get this. Over 75% of young people in this UK survey said they find the future frightening because of climate change.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a whole generation looking ahead with fear, you know? That's a lot.
It's a heavy thing to carry around. And I think it makes you wonder, what is it like to be a young person right now, inheriting a world with this massive problem hanging over it?
Right.
It's got to be tough. They actually talked to some young people in the episode. It's really interesting to hear their take on things.
Oh, I bet.
There's this one girl, Emmy, she's 14. She had this really powerful way of describing climate change. She called it a parasite.
A parasite?
Yeah. It's this thing that's feeding off the planet's resources, you know?
Wow. That's really powerful imagery. And kind of disturbing when you think about it.
Definitely. And for her, it's not just some abstract concept. She says it straight up. It freaks her out.
Yeah, you can hear the fear in her voice.
Totally. And it's even more heartbreaking when you contrast that with what this other kid in the episode said.
Oh, yeah.
Millie. She's only 11. She said, Earth is 1 in a million.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's so simple, but it just hits you, you know?
It really does.
She gets it. She understands that our planet is precious. There's no other place like it. But it's under threat.
Yeah. And that's a lot for anyone to process, let alone kids.
So then the question becomes, where do we even begin to deal with all of this?
Right. Where do you even start?
Well, the We Talk English people, they brought in this psychotherapist, Caroline Hickman. She's actually spoken to over 100,000 teenagers about climate anxiety.
100,000.
Yeah. And one of the things that really stuck with me is how many of those kids said they felt ignored. Or even worse, they were being told that it was their job to fix this mess that they didn't create.
It's a lot of pressure to put on anyone, especially kids.
Exactly.
And, Hickman, she really emphasized this idea that we can't just, brush these feelings aside, you know?
Yeah, absolutely not. What did she say? Don't shy away from these conversations.
Right. Even if they're tough, you gotta have them. Talk openly and honestly with young people. Validate what they're feeling instead of just being like, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, because that's definitely not helpful.
No, it's not. It's about being there, listening, and showing them that you get it, even if you don't have all the answers.
Because who does, really?
Exactly. It's okay to say, hey, this is really scary and I don't have it all figured out, but we're in this together. I think that goes a long way.
It's about that sense of, teamwork, right?
Totally. It reminds me of, you know who really embodies that? Greta Thunberg.
Oh, for sure. Talk about someone who's not afraid to stand up and be heard.
She didn't just talk about it, she took action. I mean, that school strike, that became a global movement, and it really shifted the narrative, didn't it?
It totally did. It's like she was saying, hey, we're not just kids waiting around for you to fix things. We're here, and we're ready to make a difference.
Exactly, and it goes back to what Hickman was saying about intergenerational dialogue, right? It's not enough to just acknowledge their fears. We have to engage with them as, equals,
Right.
Partners in finding solutions.
And I think that's so important because we often talk about young people and climate change, but are we really talking with them?
That's the key question. Are we really listening?
Because they have so much to offer.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They're growing up with this reality. It's their future that's most at stake.
Right, and they're not afraid to, challenge the status quo. They're digital natives. They're all about collaboration.
They're full of ideas. I bet if we just gave them the space and the resources, they'd blow us away with their solutions.
I totally agree. We need to be encouraging that creativity, that passion.
So what does that look like in practice? How do we actually make this happen?
Well, it starts with creating those spaces for these conversations to happen.
What Give me some examples.
Okay, so classrooms, for sure. And not just like a one-off lecture, but ongoing dialogue.
Yeah, build it into the curriculum.
Exactly. And community centers, maybe even family dinner tables.
Make it part of our everyday conversations.
Exactly. The more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, the less scary it becomes.
And not just talking at them, but actually listening. Like really listening to what they have to say.
Yes. And being open to their ideas, even if they sound crazy at first.
Because sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones that change the world.
Exactly. This isn't just about climate change, right?
What do you mean?
I think it's about something bigger. It's about bridging that generational divide that we see everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's about coming together, building a better future together.
Yes, it all starts with a conversation.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about how climate change is seriously freaking some young people out. And we talked about how important it is to actually listen to them, not just brush their feelings off.
Yeah, for sure. It's about making space for their feelings, and their ideas. Because, they're the ones who are going to be dealing with this for the longest.
Exactly. What really gets me is how this podcast, it wasn't just about pointing out a problem. It actually gave us a way forward.
Right. By working together, different generations, finding some common ground.
And that gives me hope,
True.
It's like, yeah, the climate crisis is huge and scary, but we're not powerless. Especially if we include those who are going to be inheriting this planet.
Absolutely. And who are, honestly, already coming up with amazing ideas and taking action.
Totally. So I guess what I'm saying is, if anything we talked about today got you thinking, awesome. Now go do something with it. Go have a conversation with a young person you know.
Just listen. You might be amazed by what they have to say.
That's a wrap for us today. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.
And, again, thanks for joining us on We Talk English.